You ever get that feeling that the government is just broken? Well, today we're going to dive into a proposed constitutional amendment that's trying to fix what a lot of people see as this huge disconnect in American democracy. And let me tell you, it's a really bold idea. It's designed to completely rewire the relationship between you and the people you vote for.
And that brings us to this big question, right? It's something you hear from pretty much everyone, no matter what side they're on. It just feels like our leaders answer to their party first, and us, well, we come second, if at all. But what if that's not just a feeling? What if it's actually a bug in the system? And more importantly, what if there's a way to fix it?
Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to rewind, way back. You know, the folks who designed the Constitution, they were brilliant, no doubt. But they were also, let's just say, not super optimistic about human nature. They built a system that didn't rely on politicians being saints. Instead, the whole idea was to take their natural ambition and pit it against each other for the good of the country.
And the absolute core of that design, the genius part, was this idea of checks and balances. Now, the point wasn't just to make everyone argue and get nothing done. No, the goal was to create this kind of productive conflict. The idea was that each branch of government would jealously protect its own turf from the others, and that constant tug of war was supposed to be the very thing that kept the whole system stable and balanced.
So how'd they do it? Well, they separated the powers. You've got Congress, their job is to make the laws. Then you have the president, who enforces those laws, and the courts, who interpret them. See, each one has its own job, but they all need each other. Think about it. The president could veto a law from Congress, but then Congress can turn around and override that veto. And the courts can step in and say, hey, that law's unconstitutional. It's that constant push and pull that was supposed to make the whole thing work.
And this quote really hits the nail on the head. The loyalty wasn't supposed to be to a person or a party. It was meant to be institutional. So what does that mean? It means a member of Congress, for instance, was expected to fight to protect the power of Congress, even against a president they liked. Their personal ambition was supposed to be tied to making their branch of government strong.
But there was a bug, a huge one. The founders, for all their genius, didn't really see political parties coming, at least not the powerful permanent ones we have today. And that one oversight, that one variable they didn't account for, completely changed the game. It was like a virus in their perfectly designed operating system. And this right here, this is the moment it all breaks down. The second a politician's number one loyalty shifts away from their branch of government and toward their political party, the whole system just flips on its head.
This is maybe the most important takeaway here. The main fight in Washington is no longer Congress versus the president. It's now party versus party. And that fight cuts across all three branches of government. The checks and balances we talked about, they were never, ever designed to handle that.
So let's play this out. What happens when the president and the majority in Congress are from the same team, the same party? Well, as this quote points out, the whole incentive for Congress to check the president, it just vanishes. Poof, gone. Instead of pushing back, Congress just becomes a tool to pass the president's agenda. That whole critical oversight role, it just gets tossed out the window.
And the consequences? Well, they probably look pretty familiar. We get gridlock, where nothing gets done. We get a Congress that seems powerless to rein in the executive branch. We see things like impeachment turn into just another political food fight instead of the serious constitutional tool it was meant to be. The bottom line is, the system we have now rewards being a good party soldier, not being a good representative for your actual constituents.
Okay, so if the system has a bug, is there a fix? Is there a patch we can install? Well, there's a pretty radical proposal out there that's designed to do just that. It's basically a software patch for the Constitution, meant to totally rewire the incentives for the people we elect.
It's called the Constituent-Directed Representation Amendment. The idea is for this to become the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. And its goal, when you boil it all down, is both simple and honestly pretty profound. It wants to make representation mean something again.
Now, the engine that makes this whole thing run is a concept called binding constituent instruction. Okay, that sounds a little technical, but stick with me. This is not just a simple 50+1 majority vote. The language is very specific. It talks about figuring out the nuanced will of the people. So imagine a system that doesn't just ask if you support a bill, but how much you support it. And it only locks in a decision when a real, strong consensus emerges.
If this happened, it would completely change the game. Right now, a representative's main loyalty is to their party and its donors. This amendment would legally bind their loyalty to their constituents, to you. Their job wouldn't be to go to Washington and make decisions for you anymore. Their job would be to act as a direct channel for what you decide. A massive shift.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how would it actually work, day to day on Capitol Hill? This isn't just a vague concept. The proposed amendment actually spells out a clear process.
Here's how it would go down. First, for any vote coming up in Congress, people in the district would use a secure system to make their preference known. Step 2, that system calculates whether a true consensus has been met. Step 3, if there is a consensus, your representative is legally bound. They have to vote that way. But, and this part is really important, if there's no clear consensus, they can't just do what they want. They have to abstain. That's a huge deal because it means a tiny 51% majority can't just run the show.
And this quote from True Democracy, the organization pushing for this, really just sums it all up. It's all about changing the reward system. Think about it. If a politician's job, literally, legally, depends on voting the way their district tells them to, the entire power structure in Washington gets flipped upside down, instantly.
And just so we're clear, this isn't some gentle suggestion. This amendment has some serious teeth. According to the text, if a representative ignores a binding instruction from their constituents, 1, their vote is immediately voided. 2, they're kicked out of office through a fast-track legal process. And 3, they are banned from ever holding federal office again. I mean, that is accountability on a whole other level.
So, when you look at all this, the proposal really forces us to ask a huge question about what we want our democracy to be. It's asking us to choose. Do we want a system where we just pick a decider every couple of years and hope for the best? Or do we want a system where the people, where we hold the ultimate power on every single vote?
And the people behind this amendment say this is the one question we should ask every single person who runs for office. A simple yes or no. It just cuts through all the noise, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of it. Who do you really work for? The party or the people you represent? The whole idea is that by forcing that loyalty back to the people, you could finally patch that bug in the system and get back to the kind of balanced government the founders actually envisioned.